Ich wollte gewollt, dass ich sollst dir ermahnen.
Okay. Let me just.
Wenn wir sind gewesen noch frei, wir sind gegangen spazieren zusammen. Die Sonne hat gescheint noch viel stärker wie heim. Heint fallen die Blätter verwelkte von Bäumen. Mein Herz euch verwelkt, denn sie weint, denn sie schreit. Es fallen die Blätter verwelkte von Bäumen. Und ich bin allein nur mit mein Traurigkeit. Der Wind juckt die Blätter mit sich mit in a schwarze vergessene Nacht. Na das Lied vergessen will ich nicht, was die hast vor mir ausgetracht. Das ist das Lied von deiner Liebe, heute ist kein Liebe, kein Mundgewinn. Ich hör das Lied in alle Stiebe, nur dich allein kann ich nicht sehen. Weg bist du, mit dir das Glück, in ein anderes Heim mit dir. Vor mir bist auf ewig verloren, nur eins ist geblieben von dir. Weg bist du, mit dir das Glück, in ein anderes Heim mit dir. Vor mir bist du auf ewig verloren, geblieben nur die Melodie.
Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I skipped one stage and I couldn't move the slides.
Oh,
So that's why. So, okay, hopefully when we will listen to it once again, I will be able to move the slide. So, Daniel, can you read the English, please?
Yeah. You probably know the song Autumn Leaves, which was originally a poem in French by Jacques Prévert. Les feuilles mortes. Feuilles mortes. Merci. Joseph Kosma was a Jewish musician and composer from Budapest who emigrated to Paris in 1933, where he met Prévert and set a number of his poems to music. He also composed the score to dozens of films. He was placed under house arrest by the Germans during the occupation, but he survived the war. Yever Motan sang the song in 1945 film Les Portes de la Nuit.
De la nuit.
Merci. In 1949, Johnny Morso wrote an English version, and many recordings of it were made. In 1955, Roger Williams recorded a piano rendition.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. Thank you. There is still, okay, so Janet, will you continue, please?
yeah, she always calls on Janet.
Because it's, I call on Janet because she can participate in reading the English.
Und ich
Okay, so
danke,
that's
ich
why.
danke Ihnen sehr.
Okay,
Dave
great.
Cash was born Ludwig Schlondiker in Lemberg, Galicia in 1910. He studied theater and dancing in Lemberg and performed in Poland. His stage partner was Jadwiga Postolska, whom he later married. They escaped to the USSR when the Nazis invaded. They followed the Polish army of Anders.
Vladislav Anders.
Vladislav Anders, and was formed in the USSR and was allowed to make its way to Iran and from there to Palestine, where it passed under British command. They were married in Haifa in 1947.
Okay, go on.
They came to France in 1948 and toured North and South America. In Argentina, they obtained Argentine passports. They returned to France and opened a cabaret around 1960 called Bagatelle, and then another called Chez Dave Cash. He died in 1981 in Jadwiga in 2001.
Okay, it goes on. Okay.
In 2015, the European Institute for Jewish Music released a set of 6 CDs of his recordings. He wrote Yiddish lyrics for Les Feuilles Mortes. Okay, Les Feuilles Mortes, and titled it Fallen die Blätter. The Leaves Are Falling. Other songs that he wrote and performed included Der Sheriff von Seville. Oh, I love it. Der Sheriff von Seville, The Barber of Seville, Der Yiddische Boogie Woogie.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Janet. Okay, Golda, can you start?
Ja, wollte gewollt, als soll dir der Mannen, die Tag, wenn wir sind gewesen nach Freien. I would like to remind you of the days when we were still friends. Wir sind gegangen spazieren zusammen. We went for walks together. Die Sonne hat gescheint noch viel stärker behind. The sun shone even stronger than today.
Okay, can you translate it?
It's not moving.
Moving. Okay. No, translate what you have read.
I translated
You
it.
did translate it.
I'm sorry, Golda, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit famished today, so bear with me, okay?
You bear with me, I bear with you. No problem.
She meant to say she was a little more famished today than normally.
Oh,
The normal, I'm sorry.
No problem, Hannah.
Okay. So go on.
Hein fallen die Blätter, van welke von Bäumen? Today the leaves from many areas, I suppose,
No, it's withered. Verwelkte means withered.
withered
Withered
leaves from trees. Mein Herz ist euch verwelkt und sie weint und sie schreit. My heart is also withered. And my heart is crying and it's screaming. Es fallen die Blätter verwelkte von Bäumen. The withered leaves are falling from trees. Und ich bin allein nur mit mein Traurigkeit, and I am only alone with my sadness.
Thank you. Maurice, you want to add
No, it's
anything?
good. Perfect.
Thank you, perfect. Okay. Vinkl, can you continue, please?
yeah.
Sure, Delphine
No, Golda.
Oh.
Vinkl.
Der Wind juckt die Blätter mit sich mit in der schwarze, vergessene Nacht. So the wind chases the leaves with them, and the dark, I guess, forgotten night.
Good.
No, wet.
Yeah, go on.
Nor das Lied vergessen will ich nicht, was du hast vor mir ausgetracht. But I will not forget. What you have invented for me, ausgetracht, what you have, yeah, I'm not sure.
This lead
Ausgetracht.
is the song.
The lead.
The song.
I will not forget that you have invented this song for me.
No. It's a bit, I will not forget the song that you invented for me.
Right.
Or that you wrote for me, something like this.
You thought up the song for me. I will not forget that you thought up this song for me.
Yeah. Okay, so Elaine, you raised your hand, Elaine.
Yeah, what is mit sich mit? Like, is that a phrase, or does the sich belong to the verb, or I don't know. What is mit
I
sich
think
mit?
it's I mean, Yogan is to rush, to hurry. So mit Yogan is to hurry along, to rush along with it. I think that's all it is.
But would it be, does the sich belong to the yukt? Like,
Yeah,
yukt
I mean,
is it a
there are
reflexive verb?
There are a lot of times in Yiddish when they're made reflexive, but they don't translate into English as reflexive verbs.
Okay.
I think in this sense, it means with. Sich, mit sich, with me.
Okay, Rafael, you raised your hand, Rafael.
Yeah, I would agree that the mit at the end of the line goes with Joggen. Der Wind jogt mit.
Right.
Die Blätter mit sich. So it's mit Joggen, to chase along, I would say, to chase along. The wind chases along the leaves with itself.
Yeah, I sort of thought of it as chases away. It chases away the leaves.
Well, it chases them with itself. It's hard to know.
As the wind blows, it brings along the leaves with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Isabel, yes.
What does ausgetracht mean?
Trachten is to think, and Oystrachten is to invent, to imagine, to dream of something.
Imagine, okay.
So, yeah, somebody else said something else, that they wrote it for me. No.
Well, the person who wrote the song imagined the song because it didn't exist before.
Okay, so let's continue. Isabel, can you read?
Das ist das Lied von deiner Liebe. This is the song from your love. Hotch is kein Liebe, kein Mal gewinn. A love which is no longer.
Are you ready to?
Never was.
Which never existed.
Okay.
Never.
Okay. Ich höre das Lied in alle Stiebe. I hear the song in all what?
All the rooms.
All the rooms, yeah.
In what? I didn't hear that.
Rooms. In this
Words?
case, it's
Rooms
of an apartment, the rooms of a house.
Okay, rooms.
Right.
Okay. Stiebe, got it.
Right.
Nur dich allein kann ich nicht sehen. Only you I cannot see.
Right.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. Marna, can you read, please?
Weg bist du und mit dir das Glück und ein anderer ist heint mit dir. You are gone, you are away, and with you happiness has gone with you. And another is with me
No,
today.
midir, with you.
And
Is with
yeah,
you
and today
today, right.
another is with you. Voor mir bist doch ewig verloren. Nur ein Sach is geblieben von dir. For me is, I need some help.
Maurice, can you help?
Right,
please?
so it's the verb is bist. You, for me, you are lost forever.
Okay.
Ewig
Nor
is
ein
forever.
Sach, only one thing remains of you.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, thank you. So I see that Vinkl and then Elaine. Vinkl first.
Yeah, I get confused by the word stub. It seems like sometimes it means house and sometimes it means room.
Right. It has both meanings.
So why are we saying it must mean rooms in this case? Why don't we say?
Because from my personal knowledge of Jewish refugees in Paris after the war, none of them owned houses. They were lucky if they get an apartment or a room in an apartment.
Okay, Elaine.
I just have so much trouble with the little words like doch and noch and nor and whatever. What does doch mean? Why is doch there and what does it mean if we, you know?
Right. So in this context, it could be van mir bist doch ewig verloren. It's indeed.
Or
In this context, but it has
obviously,
other meanings. Doch
like
can mean
obviously,
yet. Excuse me?
obviously.
Could be obviously, sure.
Although.
Yeah, it has, right.
Thus,
It has a number of uses.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, no, Daniel, yes.
Hey, this is partially me asking and partially me like adding my insight with Daesh. Like a lot of these words like doch, noch, and whatnot of Daesh are like flavor particles that don't really have much of a parallel in English. They more so turn to augment existing words. So like, you know, in German, doch would be to like stress it as absolutely true, to stress it, but like the translation to English just doesn't quite work. I get the impression it's pretty similar in Yiddish, but I'm not certain.
Yeah, it depends. It varies with the context, so it makes it tricky for us.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you so much. Another would be like ja, das ist ja schon. So you're literally it's not as yes so, but it's just augmenting the rest is like flavorful.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Yes, I didn't catch what ewig means.
Forever.
Forever. Oh, okay.
Ever.
Forever, eternally.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. So Elaine, can you read, please?
Didn't we just read this?
The end, the last sentence is different.
Oh, okay. Avec bist du und mit dir das Glück. You're gone and with you happiness. Und ein anderer is heint mir dir. And another one is now with you, or today with you. Von mir bist doch ewig verloren. For me, you're indeed forever lost. Nor ein Sach is
geblieben nur dem.
Oh, I have nur ein Sach is geblieben von dir.
No, but there is another.
Geblieben nur die, melody. I'm assuming melody is melody. Yeah, so only the melody remains.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, pretty.
Beautiful.
Pretty. Any questions before we listen to it once again, and hopefully I will be able to move the slides. Any questions? No. Okay, so.
Oh, ich wollt gewollt, dass ich sollst dir ermahnen. Die Tag, wenn wir sind gewesen, noch frei. Wir sind gegangen, spazieren zusammen. Die Sonne hat gescheint noch viel stärker wie heim. Heint fallen die Blätter verwelkte von Bäumen. Mein Herz euch verwelkt, denn sie weint, denn sie schreit. Es fallen die Blätter verwelkte von Bäumen. Und ich bin allein nur mit mein Traurigkeit. Der Wind juckt die Blätter mit sich mit in a schwarze vergessene Nacht. Na das Lied vergessen will ich nicht, was die hast vor mir ausgetracht. Das ist das Lied von deiner Liebe, als ist kein Liebe, kein Mundgebet. Ich hör das Lied in alle Stiebe, nur dich allein kann ich nicht sehen. Aber weg bist du, mit dir das Glück, in ein anderes Heim mit dir. Vor mir bist auf ewig verloren, nur eins ist geblieben von dir. Weg bist du, mit dir das Glück, in ein anderes Heim mit dir. Vor mir bist du auf ewig verloren, geblieben nur die Melodie.
Wasn't this the fallen leaves in English?
Yes.
Yes.
The autumn leaves. Autumn leaves.
Which came first, the English or the Yiddish?
No, which came
French.
first?
The French.
The French came
The
first.
French.
It was in
I mean-
French, les feuilles mortes,
The
the
French.
dead leaves.
The chicken.
The chicken. Okay,
in
so I
French.
see.
It was written in Paris
More,
and it was in
so,
French.
so Morty, and then I see you, Cookie, and then Cookie. First Morty, then Cookie.
Yes, I found it interesting that in the song, the way he sings it, it says avec bis die, but when he talks about fun, he sings fun and not fin.
Right.
So it's a mixture of Litvak and Galicianer.
Sure. Mixed marriage.
A mixed marriage.
Right.
Okay, Cookie, yes.
I wanted to say my sister is a singer, you know. It is her favorite song, and she sings it always in French. So I wanted to know, it's a Jewish writer who wrote it? And what is
Yes.
his name? And what is
Yes, he was a Jewish refugee from Hungary.
what was his name?
No,
Jack?
I
He
think
wrote the
Cosmos. I
music.
wrote it in
The-
the notes.
He wrote the music, not the words, right?
No, not the words.
The words were were based on a
Jacques Prévert.
poem by Jacques Prévert.
Right.
Jack?
I read.
And so who wrote the music? What's the name of the man who wrote the music?
It's in the
Joseph
notes.
Cosmos. I don't have it in front of me, but it was in the notes that I sent.
Cosma. He was a famous musician. in
Right.
France.
Okay.
I heard two people speaking. I didn't get the name.
Okay, Levana.
His name was Joseph Cosma, and he was a famous musician in France
Cosma.
who had emigrated from.
The English words were written, the French words were written by whom?
Jacques Prévert.
Jacques
Prévert. It's a French writer, French poet.
I got that. Thank you. That'll add to her, her presentation of the song. Thank you.
Okay. And also it's in the introduction that Maurice sent us, so you can check it in the introduction.
Okay.
Now, Michael, Michael Moore, I see that you are with us on your way back or to somewhere. Can you explain? People asked about why they didn't get the newsletter. So can you explain, please?
Yes. So we're on our way from Washington to New York on the Amtrak. So I have somewhat decent Wi-Fi. Hope everybody can hear me. So there are different email platforms like Yahoo and Hotmail and Google have standards to try to avoid spam and other evil emails coming into your mailbox. And Yahoo has put in something that doesn't jive very well with emails coming from MailChimp and other platforms. And there are some fixes that have to be made that are very technical. And I'm working on it. But if you have Yahoo or a domain that uses Yahoo, like SBC Global or SW Bell, you may not be receiving the emails for the past couple of weeks. So if you're on the mailing list, if you're one of those, and you didn't receive it, send me a chat, and I will make a note to forward the email to you directly, so that you'll get it.
But is it fixable? Can you fix it?
It's, from what I read, it's fixable, but it's a little bit more complicated than I was able to do right away. So
okay,
hopefully we can get it figured out.
Yahoo, and I did receive it. Just so you know.
I did see that a few people from Yahoo did get it. So, make sure if whatever you're on, if you are expecting the email newsletter and you don't get it, make sure to check your spam folders as well. And
no,
make
it's
sure
not going to the scam, Michael. I checked because it's not going to the scam, to the spam.
Right. Yeah, the ones that I've seen that have bounced have just been rejected, so they wouldn't be spam folder.
Okay, so
we're working on it.
Of us, we'll email Michael individually until he will be able to fix it. So have a nice trip and continue to listen to us. Any more comments or questions about the song before we move to the...
Yes. So there was one line that said Volt, Gewalt in a row, and I looked it up quickly, and it looks like they both mean want, but I'm sure there's more subtle translation. Can somebody explain that? I'm not sure which line it was in.
It's would want. Vault is wood. W-O-U-L-D, would want.
Okay, thanks. And what about, so Oigewalt? I mean, I know, sort of know what it means, but again, I think I asked the question, it's a different spelling. I'm not sure.
Yes. Gewalt and Gewalt are two different words. One is a rash, like the big, huge rash, scandal, and the other one is want. Gewalt and Gewalt.
Oh, Gewalt, right.
Okay.
Thank you. Got it.
Okay. Okay.
It was the way my mother pronounced it, I think, that threw me off. Because she didn't say Vault, she said Vault. She said Oigewalt.
So today we are reading a story, a Maise, basically, out of the Maise book, which is originally came out in 1602, and which is a collection of legends, folk tales, Maises, in short. And I just wanted to introduce you to this kind of, Yiddish literature. Oh, you have I see that Morty is showing us that he has it in print. And since 1602, when it first came out in Basel, it came out in many formats, in many, in many countries. This one I got from the Yiddish Book Center, and I see that it was reprinted in Argentina in 1969. And people added comments or all kinds of, what we call beurim, which is more than comments, which is explanation to it. So we will, first Refoel, yes.
Yeah, when my kids were young, I read them Yingele Ringele, which is a collection of stories. And one of the stories takes place with Shlomo HaMelech and Ashmodai. So it uses a lot of the stories actually from the Meisebuch and weaves around them a story of a youngster with a magic ring. And if you ever have kids that you want to read stories to, I highly recommend Yingele Ringele, at least the first half. It gets kind of boring after a while.
I love Vinkl, and maybe afterwards we will bring the story that is reading about, that is doing about Shlomo and Ashmedai. I translated some of it into English, and I wanted to read it to my granddaughters. Only my son and daughter-in-law say that it's not exactly fit for our time, because it, as you know, the way that is written is a bit, how should I say it? Not
unwoke.
Politically incorrect.
Politically incorrect. Yeah, I said, well, but it's a story, but it's very politically incorrect. So I'm not allowed to read it to them. So, okay, what can I do? And I don't want to change the story to make it politically correct, because it's
That's
not
called
done.
censorship.
That too will pass, Mina.
Yeah, maybe.
But I mean,
the book that I have was published by the Jewish Publication Society in 1981, and it's it's a translation from the original translation. It's a copy of the original translation of 1934.
So it's
isn't it sort of an interesting thing to read something that's not of our generation, of our time, and see the comparisons between what was is?
I think so, but probably the younger generation don't think so. So it's up to them.
But do we have any younger generation here?
There's a vast difference between usage in a particular circumstance and the fostering of language that's hurtful to people over and over again. So the idea of history is to learn from it, not to repeat it. So the question, it's not censorship. You can say whatever you want, but in the context of our times, certain ways of speaking are, will cause you trouble because they're hurtful to people or they're disrespectful to people. And I think that whole idea of saying that everything that's changed is woke and there's something wrong with that is really ridiculous. Language is malleable. It changes with time. It changes with circumstances. And I think that it's really, to lump everything into this dichotomy, this political dichotomy of like it's okay to be racist or to use racist language because we've always done it, I think is unconscionable. I'm sorry.
No. It's okay. You don't have to be sorry.
Well, our parents' generation used the word Schwarze for a black person, and today.
Yes, and it was derogatory then, and it's derogatory now in the context of English.
Yeah,
right. But
it doesn't make it okay that your parents used it.
I understand, but within the I'm not going to get into it.
Yeah.
Forget.
Okay, Marty.
I am a little bit torn. I understand Steve's point of view, but I always say that you cannot judge something written in a different time and a different context with the standards of today, because things have changed a lot.
Absolutely true.
So
absolutely true.
And somebody should not be 50% of one and 50% of the other one. I wouldn't use the word N or K today, but I am not going to deny that many people used it before, and it was a common usage. And history is there to be learned from.
Absolutely.
Now, our standards change, but that doesn't change history.
Okay. Daniel, and then Maurice.
I'm so sorry to keep this discussion going longer than Mina wanted, but I feel I might be able to give some insight as a Gen Z 27-year-old guy who really has worked as a historian and led some of these cultural groups. It's worth knowing that I do fully agree with at least the principle of having access to these older documents and being able to learn from the past. But there's also trying to understand, the proper context. I, for example, in college, ran a film group that was well known for showing films that were, let's say, controversial. Sometimes, just very normal stuff, but like things such as communist propaganda films. And Song of the South, we showed that, which is very controversial for my generation. And we talk about it's totally a racist film, but they're all things we ought to take away from it. And around the time we watched, what was it, Valkyrie, and I heard students talking about, well, the real issue with Hitler was that he kept his policies, took his policies outside of Germany. Literally the next month, I had Triumph des Villains, Triumph of the Will scheduled. I pulled that. I was not comfortable showing that in the context of my university. I heard too much, frankly, not Hitler apologia, but at the very least not treating it as severely as I think it should. And there's a proper context for such things. And so, when we have these culturally upsetting topics in literature and whatnot, the line for pretty much nobody my age is that it should never be shown. But, perhaps we should not show it to 10-year-olds or to, let's say, dumb college students.
Okay. Okay. Maurice, Rochelle, and we finish the discussion. Maurice.
Yeah, I have a question for Raphael. Do you know the children's book that Mani Leib wrote, which is Yingl Single Chvat?
Yeah, I've got a copy of it.
And I wonder
but we also read it in class. We read
was the source for Yingl Single Chvat the story that you mentioned?
No.
Called Yingele Ringele from the Meisterbuch?
No. Yingele Ringele is Leon Elba. He wrote children's stories. That's his actual name was Leon Bassain. His pen name was Leon Elba. He wrote children's stories, and his character goes to all sorts of interesting places, some of which were based on the Meisterbuch. But I don't think Yingele Single Chvat has anything to do with Yingele Ringele, as far as I know.
We read this and we read that, but Yingele Single Chvat we read something like a year ago, and from Yingele Ringele we read long before, and we will continue. Maybe after this I'll bring the chapter where he's talking about with Shlomo Melech. Rochelle, and we finish this discussion.
Okay, up in Yiddish land, we had a long discussion and unresolved of how to translate Black Lives Matter into Yiddish without using the word Schwarze, which is derogatory. And a lot of these things do present linguistic problems.
Man kann sagen Tinkele, man darf nicht sagen schwarz.
But that doesn't translate Black Lives Matter as a slogan.
Okay,
no,
that's why I don't bring anything.
I grew up in the South
on this subject. So that's it, guys. Let's move to the actual story.
Mina's a bad anarchist. Everything is political.
I'm a Southerner. I grew up in the South. When we talked about the Schwarze, we were simply referring to this particular person. It wasn't done in a derogatory fashion
before.
Okay, I think this is a topic that we should avoid.
Are you okay?
Okay.
I do appreciate what
I
was
do
it,
have,
Henrietta?
when I was
Can I-
Teaching,
Steve,
I'm sorry.
well, I'm just want to respond because I've been like sort of burning. No one can make judgment, particularly when someone's parents. So when I said, I just had to get that out. I'm sorry, but when I said that's how they spoke, because that's how people spoke. They weren't being derogatory. My aunt's cleaning lady lived with her. It was like a member of the family, but we still called her a Schwarze because that was what it was. And
to her face? To her face?
We called her Jamie was her name.
I was
Oh,
teaching.
come on, Steve, shut up.
One thing I want to say. When I was teaching, this discussion came up frequently, and the question, the simple test that you can take, is you say the word Schwarze is not derogatory. Do you call a black person a Schwarze to their face? If you say that that's how you would speak to a person to their face, good. That's fine. That's your language.
Okay,
but
people,
the reality
I
is,
think we should stop here. There won't be any answer to it, and everyone has his own idea of, please, let's stop here and go back to the Yiddish, okay? Let's go back to the Yiddish.
Minna,
yeah.
I want to say something has nothing to do with this. Whoever said some words, small words, she can't figure out what they actually mean.
That was me.
Okay, so I want to address that for 30 seconds. I also had the same situation. So what I do, because some words like Halton has 10 definitions, shine has at least 10 definitions. So what I did is I took a index card and I put it on my computer at the bottom with all the definitions. So when we read a story, I can try and figure out what definition they're using. And it's been very helpful.
That would save me a lot of time.
Okay. So I just wanted to get that in because I had the same issue.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Elaine, I'm going to ask you a favor if you can send that to me. Because you can do it in about a tenth of the time I could.
Okay, I think we can talk about it.
It's finished. Faktik.
After class, we can talk about this. You can talk about whatever you want after class, okay? I will stay with you and you can air whatever you want. Now, please, Yiddish. Michael Fiesman, please, can you start?
Kannst du es machen, Gresse? Weiter?
Let Michael start reading, please.
A little bigger, please. שלמה המלך ולאשמודאי, המעשה שהיה, בשעת שלמה המלך עוד gehalten beim Bauen des Beis Hamikdash, פותר כידוע, I'm not sure how the Yiddish is, כידוע as it's known, שלמה המלך and Ashmodai, a story once upon a time when Shlomo HaMelech, when Solomon the king was in the process of building the temple, for there he, as is well known, sich nicht getraut banitzen mit kein Eisen. He couldn't use any iron instrument. So okay, therefore, nicht gewusst, wie soll zerschneiden, die Steine von Binyan. So therefore, he didn't know how to cut the stones for the building.
Okay, Michael, I want to stop you for 1 minute because we have to address the thing that why couldn't he use any Eisen?
What are Eisen?
Iron. Why couldn't he use any iron?
Because God wanted the Beis Hamikdash to be a place of peace, and iron is used to make swords and spears and such.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to, to drive the point. Yeah. Okay, so go on. Yeah, Refoil.
So he calls his wise men, as they sollen him geben ein Eizer, they should give him some advice, wie soll das tun, how he should do it. entfern ihm die Chachomim, so the wise men tell him, mir wollen dir sagen, we'll tell you, in die Sheshet Yemei Breishis, is Vashafen geworden Aborim, in the 6 days of creation, in the beginning, worm was created. What is Shamir? That is, the name of the worm is Shamir.
Okay, so we stop here again because we have to talk about Shamir.
What is
But
the
first,
borim? What is the borim?
What is what?
A borim.
Borim
A
is
worm. A
worm.
worm.
So before you continue, Michael, I see Rafael, you raised your hand.
Yeah, just the pronunciation. It's pronounced Kiyadua, Kiyadua, at least according to Naborsky.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and can you tell us about the Shamir?
Sure, although I think they're going to talk about it here. It was, if you can't cut the stones with a metal, how are you going to cut them? Well, there was this magic worm which was able to cut stone, and so it was called the Shamir. That's all I know about it.
It's Mendele is writing about the Shamir, that it's one of the wonderful, wondrous creatures that Binyamin III is going to look after. What else did I find about the Shamir? That not long ago, there was a worm that was found in the Philippines that actually can cut stone, that is doing that, that burrows itself through stone. So there is something like this only, in the Philippines, not in Israel. So, okay. Michael, I'm sorry, but those are things that,
Oh, sure.
It's nice to just have some knowledge about it.
Sure.
Okay. Odem Worm.
Odem Worm hat euch Moshe Rabbeinu alav Hasholem benutzt, wenn hat zugeschnitten die Steine von Airport. So the same worm, Moses, our teacher, may he rest in peace, used when he was cutting the stones for the front piece of for the front, whatever, of the high priest wore on his chest. I think that was the airport, but I'm open to correction.
Yes, it is. It's, I think in English, it's called surplice.
Okay.
I think so. Rafael?
Yeah, again, Naborsky pronounces it aphid.
Aphid?
Aphid.
Okay, aphid, okay. Okay, go on, Michael, please.
Keine Sache in der Welt ist nicht zu hart. Nothing in the world is too hard. Also das Wärmel soll es nicht zerschneiden in zwei, that the worm shouldn't be able to cut it in two. Fred by Zay demot Shlomo. So at that time, Shlomo asked them, wie also kommt man zu Ort dem Shamir? How do you get to this Shamir? Entfern ihm die Chachomim. So the wise people answered him, wir wollen dir sagen, we'll tell you, wie also du kennst ihm kommen, how you can get hold of him. Geh hin und chap a Scheid mit a Shedicha und matter sei also lang. Go and catch a devil and a female devil and torture them, bother them for so long, bis they wollen dir äußern dem Sohn, until they will tell you the secret, wie man kann zukommen zu Shamir, how you will be able to get to the Shamir. Hakitzer, in short, and what gehabt Shade mit a Shadicha. Again, I'm not sure about Shadicha pronunciation. Again, they caught the devil with the female devil, when they gebracht zu Shlomo HaMelech, and they brought them to Solomon the king, when fragt sie, and he asks them, wo es gefindt sich der Shamir? Where do you find the Shamir?
Okay,
And
thank you, Michael. I see that.
Can I just mention one thing, again from Mendele, in his book, Racha, he mentions where Ashmodai, the devil, gets hold of Israeli, who's the hero, and tells him that he's going to torture the Jews forever because Solomon, you're a descendant of Solomon, and Solomon tortured me long ago, and I've never forgiven him.
Okay, so you see, it's good that we are reading it. We will have the reference when we will read other things as well. So good. Okay, I see that people raise their hand. Rafael, yes, please.
Yeah, I would pronounce that shedeche, a shade mit a shedeche. And shedeche, the iche ending usually would refer to not only female, but wife of. So a demon and his wife. A shade mit a shedeche.
Okay, thank you. Vinkl?
Yeah, another thing about the ephod, the breastplate that the high priest wore, it had gems on it. It had stones, and I think the idea is that the shamir not only worked on the iron but carved the stones as well from the earth. Carved, cut out the stones. The oracular, it was used for predicting the future and for determining justice in the world.
Okay, thank you. We learned a lot today, I see. Okay, thanks.
Like
Karen, will you continue from Enfer and Zai?
Yes.
Enfer and Zai.
I'm sorry, would you be able to put the arrow on it?
Yeah.
You
see?
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Just a moment, I'll make it bigger. But if I make it bigger, I have to move. I have to move it, so just a moment. Okay. Enfer und Zai.
Entfernen Sie, mir wesen was nicht, aber Schmodai, der Melech von die Schäden, soll Gott uns behielten, weiß es ja. They answered, we don't know this, but Ashmodai, the king of the demons, should God protect us? Yes, he knows. Sagt wieder zu sie, Shlomo, ich will euch nicht ablosen. Shlomo said, I will not let
Okay, I need to move it.
Please excuse me.
Okay.
I will uplosen bis wird mir nicht euch sagen. I will not release you until you tell me, until you reveal it. Wo ich can gefinnen Ashmodai, until you will reveal to me where I can find Ashmodai. Entfernen Sie ihm, wir wollen dir das sagen. They answered him, we will tell you this. Dort auf jenem Berg hat sich aufgegraben a grove. There, on that mountain, he is digging out a grave.
He digged out. It's in the past.
Thank you. He dug out a grave.
Dug out. So yeah.
Thank you. Was is Tomid full mit Wasser, which is always full of water. Der Grove is aber zugedeckt mit a Stein. The grave is, however, covered with a stone. Was heißt Tinra?
Yeah, Tinra.
Und is verchasmet mit Choirem. von Ashmodai Gufa. It was the stone which was called Tinra and was sealed with a seal from Ashmodai or by Ashmodai himself.
Tinra, I found that it's from the Zohar and it means a strong stone or a strong, how do you say Sela? Morty, can you translate it? Sela.
Sela, I don't know. I understood it always as rock.
As a rock, a rock.
It is a rock.
As a rock, yes. Okay. Go on, Karen.
Jeden Tag geht auf in Himmel zu lernen Teure in der Yeshiva Shel Maila. Every day he goes up to heaven to learn, to study Torah. And in the Yeshiva of virtue, abgelernt sein Shir.
In the heavenly yeshiva, the one up there.
The yeshiva from above.
Thank you. Abgelernt sein Shir. He learns learns the lesson.
Having finished.
Talmudic lesson. Excuse me?
Having learned.
Oh, thank you. Oh, having learned his lesson, kommt zurück herab von Himmel. Having learned his lesson, he returns down from heaven. Und machmes es is ihm sehr heiß, and because it's very hot, trinkt Wasser von dem Grove. He drinks water from the grave. Wein rührt nicht an. He does not touch wine. Aber trinkt noch von Wasser, but before he drinks more of the water, guckt noch. He examines to see der Chosem is ganz und sie keiner hat sich nicht Ganeve zugeschaut und ihm darf reingossen Wein. But before he drinks more, he examines to see if the seal is intact and or whether someone has pushed aside or stolen or done something secretly moved aside and pushed and poured wine into the grave. Zet as es is keiner nicht gewesen bei dem Grove, demolt trinken sich an zu der Zet. And he sees if no one has been to the grave, then he drinks to his satiety, he drinks his fill, and far wieder mit sein Chosem, he seals back with his seal dem Stein und geht sich sein Weg, and then goes, he seals it up and then he goes on his merry way.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well done.
Now, I saw that Refoel, for some words when you pronounced it or when I thought that that's the way it's pronounced. He moved his head that no. So, Rafael, can you tell us how it is pronounced?
Firstly, I would translate grub here as pit. It is cognate to the English word grave, but I don't think in Yiddish it's used to mean grave. You'd use the word cavern for that. But it's just a pit, or it can also mean a mine. But here it's a deep hole, or a pit. Now, choisim is the pronunciation of that word. It's not husam, it's choisim. And the reason for that is that the vowel O, which you'd have in Ashkenazic Hebrew pronunciation, chosom, doesn't exist. O doesn't exist in Hebrew, in Yiddish. And so O, especially if it's accented, becomes oi. So choisim. And what other was there? And farchasmet, choisim and farchasmet. Farchasmet is sealed. I think those are the only ones there.
Okay, because I see that you are moving your head. No, it's okay. I saw Vinkl. Vinkl, you raised your hand before. I just waited for Karen to finish reading. So
no, I lowered my hand. That issue was already addressed. So
addressed. Okay. So Rochelle,
I have a question. I may not have understood it, but the demons invoke God with God's help.
Where are you going?
In the beginning, when he's talking to the demons, do they invoke God? That just seemed odd to me.
I think it's the narrator invoking God to say, protect us from him.
All right, I don't know where that sentence is, but it just seemed
I'm looking it. Yeah, I see. Rafael, yes, you see.
It's not the narrator. It is the demons. And there's nothing strange about that. The demons are not against God. They're created by God also. And our God is their God. So God protect us is something that a demon might well say. In Jewish literature anyway. I don't know in fact.
Okay, but are the demons, if they're not against God, are they against the people? I mean,
well, they're imps. They're destructive destructive influences, but they're not necessarily unreligious. They're just built there to be annoying. I don't know.
Troublemakers for Halloween.
Troublemakers, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Why would God make demons?
Ask him.
If he made everything, he made them too.
I'll ask him. I'll be seeing him sooner than later.
He made all of us, so.
Okay, Morty, please go on, Morty. As
Schloime hat das gehört, schickt bald noch sein Joitz Benio ben Yehudi in Gidim Akait. When Shlomo heard this, he sent immediately, he called immediately for his helper,
advisor,
yeah,
counselor,
Beniu ben Yehudi, and gave him a chain. Of us is gestanden euch gekritzt der Shem hameforish. He gave him a chain of which on which it was scratched the name, the holy name, apekel med avol. I'm not sure what avol means. A package with vol, wool,
like
yeah, package with wool. Mit wus zu verstoppen a loch, with which to block, to close a hole, in dazu noch a krieg mit Wein, and with it also a jug with wine. Bald hat sich der Joitz gelost in Weg herein. Very soon the advisor got on his way, und der gangen bis zu dem group, and went to that pit, von wannen Ashmadi trinkt, from which Ashmadi drinks. Angekommen dort, arriving there, grabt Benihu a loch unter der Grub. He drills, Benihu drills a hole under the pit, azoi as dus Faranege. Das faranige Wasser soll von dort abfließen, so that the water stored there will come out, und dabei soll der Häusem auf dem Stein bleiben ganz, so that the seal on the stone will remain intact. Dennoch verstopft das Loch mit dem Woll. Afterwards, he closes the hole with the wool, was hat mitgenommen, that he brought with him. Jetzt nimmt sich und grubt a Loch von oben von der Grub. Now he drills a hole from the top of the pit und gießt dort rein der Wein von sein Krug. And he pours into it the wine from his vase, from his vase. Also as der Grub hat sich ungefüllt mit Wein, so that the pit got full with the wine. Es versteht sich, it's obvious or it's understood as Nihu is mit dem Eusen gewesen, as azoi bald wie Ashmadi wird trinken, in his understanding, in his Benihu's understanding, it was that when Ashmadi will drink, as soon as Ashmadi will drink the wine, wird einschlufen in dem Mal, wird ihm können binden. Then, after drinking the wine, Ashmadi will fall asleep and he will be able to tie him down und wegführen zu Shlomo HaMelech and take him away to Shlomo HaMelech, to the King Solomon. Noch ein Uptin sein Stickel Arbeit, after doing his bit of work, hat sich Shlomo HaMelech jetzt behalten. The advisor of King Solomon hid. Is gekrochen.
Just a moment, I will, because I enlarged it. Yeah, okay.
Hat gekrochen auf a hohen Baum. He went up a tall tree und dort gewahrt, bis Ashmadi wird zurückkommen. He would wait until Ashmadi would return von sein Lernen im Himmel, from his learning in heaven.
Okay, thank you, Morty, because I gave Bob the next part, but I see that Raphael raised his hand. Raphael?
Yeah, the Yoyetz, the advisor, is Benayahu ben Yehoyada, and he's mentioned in First Kings several times. So he's the advisor to Solomon. Benayahu ben Yehoyada.
Yeah. He's the consigliere. He's the consigliere.
That's right.
Yeah, so any question about what we read until now?
Did you pick this for Halloween, Minna?
No, I picked it because I liked it. I read many of the legends and I kind of liked it. I didn't.
It's very creepy.
It's creepy, yeah. Well, it will get creepier later. So maybe it is for Halloween. Okay, Bob, please.
Azoi bald wie Ashmedai ist wieder herabgekommen auf der Erde, geht zu dem Grub, noch zu gucken, sie der Häusem, yeah, is ganz. So as soon as Ashmedai came down to the ground, he goes to the pit to see if the seal is intact. Macht auf dem Grub und will nehmen a frisch Trunkwasser. He opened the pit and wanted to take a fresh drink of water. Der schmeckt aber dem Reich von Wein. However, he smelled a scent of wine. Tracht sich, he thought to himself, es is an alte Klau, als wer es trinkt Wein, der verliert sein Verstand. It's an old, it's an old, well known that whoever drinks wine kind of loses his senses or his judgment.
Standing.
What did you say, Susan?
Passes out.
Passes out.
Yeah, he
Passes out. Okay.
And Verstand is understanding.
Yeah, against kind
Oh,
of,
that's a way passing out. He's no longer capable of thinking.
yeah.
Right.
Okay. Ich will darüber lieber nicht trinken. Boy, I will therefore rather not drink. Der Sof is aber gewesen. However, in the end, as der Durst hat ihm so lang gepeinigt. In the end, when his thirst became no longer bearable, hat sich nicht gekannt länger einhalten und getrunken von dem Wein. He finally got until he couldn't stand it any longer and drank from the wine. So bald wie hat gehabt abgetrunken Spur bissel von dem Wein, as soon as he had drunk a reasonable or considerable amount of wine, is gewesen schlafferig. He became sleepy. Und legt sich wegschlafen and lay down to sleep. Auf dem Moment hat der Joretz gewahrt. At that moment, the advisor was waiting. That's the moment the advisor was waiting for? Or?
Yes, exactly.
Azoi gech wie Ashmedai ist eingeschlafen, ist herab von dem Baum und warf die Kate mit dem Shem am Feurisch dem Ashmedai über Hals. So as quickly as Ashtadai fell asleep, he came down from the tree and threw the chain with the
holy name.
With the holy name around Ashtadai's neck. As Ashtadai hat daar noch auf gewacht von sein Schlaf, when Ashmedai awoke from his sleep, hat gewollt mit Koyach zu reisen die Kate. He wanted to force off the chain. Zogt zu ihm der Yoyetz, and the advisor said to him, du wirst sie nicht kennen zerreißen. You can't take it off. You can't tear it off. Machmas, because der Nomen von Gott, Baruch Hu, ist ausgeschrift auf hier. Ausgekriegt auf here, because the name of God is inscribed on it. Is it more as Ashmedai hat eingesetzt, as Ashmedai realized, as hat nicht kein an der Bereda is mit ihm gernwillig mitgegangen. When he realized he had no other option, he was ready to go with him.
He willingly went with him.
Willing to go.
Thank you. Wow, you worked on it. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I see two people raise their hands, Louisa and then Rochelle. Louisa?
Oh, I had a question a long time ago. I think it was the last sentence that Morty read, that I wanted to ask Morty to go over, because I think I missed something there.
Which one was it?
It was one of the last one on the previous page, in the bottom of the page that you have on. Morty, what was the last line that you read, or the last two lines?
I wish I could remember which was the last line, but it was below that, I think.
It was the paragraph. It was the previous page, page 71.
Page 71.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll look for it and I'll ask you again later.
Okay, it's the previous page then.
Yeah, it was 71.
You go up.
This is 71. Yeah, that's
Here?
71.
Yeah, the last part of 71. There was
so
there was something I didn't understand about.
There where it's in the last sentence.
Yeah.
Noch ein Uptun sein Stickel Arbeit hat sich Schleume Hamelech Sioetz behalten. After doing his little piece of work, the advisor of King Solomon hid himself.
Okay.
Went into hiding.
Okay.
Se escondió.
Sí, okay. Thank you.
Sorry for the Spanish.
Don't be sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Rachel?
Again, I'm very visual, and I'm trying to imagine the size and the scope of this worm, and I'm having trouble because it must be something extraordinarily large.
Okay.
Anybody have any other ideas on visualizing this?
It just has sharp teeth.
We have no idea. It's a mythical creature. You can just, whatever you fantasize, whatever you think.
Okay.
We have no idea.
I posted in chat. There's lots of pictures of it.
Oh,
really?
Yeah?
Well, pictures, yeah. Okay.
Some scientists discovered a short time ago the remains, not the remains, but the markings of a centipede that was 2.5 meters long. So
yeah,
there you have it.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah. Just think in the old days, dinosaurs were big. Worms were probably pretty big in those days.
Right.
Okay.
Well, the amount of oxygen in the air was what made them grow so much.
Okay,
All right.
Steve, will you read a few sentences before we finish, Steve? Azoi oben sei zusammen. Steve, you're with us?
My Yiddish moich is nicht arbeit heint.
Okay. Okay, so if you don't want to read, no problem. Hilda, can you read a little bit?
Yes, where are we starting? I can't
Here,
see.
Azoi oben sei. Here.
Ah, yeah. I'll try.
Okay, just a few sentences. We have 5 minutes.
Okay. As I haben sie, as I haben sie zusammen geholcht.
Gehoilech.
Gehoilech, das Stückel. Gehoilech.
What does that mean?
It's
They
a mixture of Hebrew and Yiddish.
Yes.
Walked there.
Ah, right. Okay.
They walked, but it is a mixture.
Gehoilcht a Stück Wegs, bis sie seinen zugekommen zu a Bäum. So they went on their way until they came to a tree.
They walked for a while until they came to a tree.
And they walked together.
They walked together. Okay. Hat sich Ashmedai genommen kratzen beim Bäum. As der Bäum is bald umgefallen. Until the tree fell down. Shall I go back and translate it from there?
Yes.
As I haben sie, so together they went. Is it? They went.
Yes.
A little way until they came to a tree. Hat sich Ashmedai started to scratch the tree until the tree soon almost fell down. Von dannen seien sie weitergegangen. From there they went a little further. Und zugekommen zu a Haus von a Almen. Almone. Until they came to the house of a widow.
Yeah.
Hat sich Ashmedai, hat sich
Ashmedayan.
What is that?
Direct
Occurred to Ashmedai.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So it's another case, right? So it occurred to Ashmedai, lost Kratzton beim Haus, that he should make. Is it a scratching?
Scratch himself.
To scratch himself.
He felt like scratching himself. By the house.
Against the house, in this case.
Right, I see. Up against the house. Is die Almone geschwind? Right, geschwind. Arois und mit Hanäufe
Magdalene im gebeten. Oh, she, what is Hanoifer?
Can I say what it is?
Yes, yes, you can.
Slanefa is with charming words. She was trying to entice him in Tibetan.
All right. Okay. Thank you. So with charming words, she asked him, soll das nicht tun. Would he please not do that?
Yes. Okay. I think we will stop here because afterwards there is something that needs to be explained. So because
wait, what can someone say what geschwind is, please?
Quickly.
Thank you.
Quickly. So we will stop here because the rest of the paragraph needs explaining later on. So we will get to it next time. So I see that. Thank you, Hilda, and I see that Rochelle.
They could have just used the beaver.
What?
They could have just used the beaver to gnaw through all of those logs.
Okay.
Not a log, it's cement.
Any comments about the story before you can talk about whatever you want? Yeah, I see Cookie.
It's very interesting.
Somebody said the word bald is almost. I don't think so. Bald is immediately. Bald gefallen.
No,
right away.
It means soon.
Soon.
Yeah, but
soon. Not almost.
But I think in this context, I think it was the tree almost fell.
Yeah.
Right away. Yeah, not almost. There's another word for almost in Yiddish. What is it? Kemat?
There are a lot of synonyms. It means soon.
Kemat is almost, but bald is soon.
Yeah, okay. All right. I tell you, reading this story, I feel like I'm reading a foreign language. I don't know Yiddish at all, except for all the conversational words, but so many words I never even heard of. Really, very deep. For me, was very deep. Yeah.
There are lots of Hebrew words in this story,
Yeah,
so that's one of the things. There are a lot of it. Yeah.
It's very interesting and it's thought-provoking, Benna. Thank you for a good selection.
Yeah, welcome. We will continue reading it because it's longer. Yeah, I see Daniel raised his hands. Daniel,
We've had easy and we've had hard, and I think that's what makes this class so wonderful.
I agree, Brenda.
Yeah.
There's a phrase I really like, the past is a different country. As we've read these more recent Yiddish texts, to my reading, it just looks like German in the Semitic alphabet, with some Hebrew and Slavic words thrown in here and there. It sounds more like a pidgin language. Whereas with the 1600s, we're aware of this exact translation from. It very much so strikes me as a distinctive language, and maybe that's just like my framing of it being German centric. I thought that was really fascinating. So I did enjoy doing something old or more interesting. A while back I actually read some transcripts of the oldest Yiddish text from the 1200s or 1100s, and hilariously enough, it's from Cairo, which is not where you think the oldest Yiddish text would have been made, but here we are. And it was very similar that I had a much harder time wrapping my mind around it because surprise, languages change over time.
Yeah, but here we have a mixture of there are a lot of Hebrew words and a lot of German or Germanized words.
Oh yeah, naturally.
Yeah. Any more comments?
Yeah, I have a comment.
Yeah, Louisa. Yeah.
These stories are folk stories that went around the world, and in the Sephardic folklore, there was also a concept that there were little devils that were living under the under the earth, like right below, like in a pit, and they would come in and out, and people would think that these devils were chasing them or that they needed to be protected from them. But basically, it's the same kind of concept. So that proves that these stories were really transmitted from not only from generation to generation, but from different parts of the, not only the Jewish world, but the outside world as well. But I do have a story about Shadim, which is the same kind of concept of little devils, from Sephardic sources from the Ottoman Empire in the 1700s, 1800s. So
the story is in what, in Ladino or in Yiddish?
Oh, well, I read an account of a lady that is telling the story in Ladino.
Ah, in Ladino, okay. Because if it would have been nice if it was in Yiddish to compare, to read it and compare.
No, it's in Ladino.
Okay.
The point is that they went from culture to culture or from group to group. So
yeah.
it was part of the concept of superstition, that it's the superstitious environment that they lived in, and that they passed on stories about little devils living in.
By the time it got to me,
right,
it was
right below the ground.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We had the
boogeyman. What? You had the boogeyman?
The boogeyman. By the time it got to me, it was the boogeyman. I was frightened to death of the boogeyman. Yeah. Terrible.
Okay, no, but here I wanted to bring something that is old, and in a while we will also do something. Susan sent me a book about trines by Yiddish women, and so we will do this as well, but not right now. I have to prepare it first, so yeah, so it takes time. So
well, it's great to read about what literature from the past.
Dana, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I mean, it was hard for me to follow, but just listening to the, I followed a little bit, but just getting the essence of it from the translation, I thought it was fascinating just to go way back in time. So I appreciated it. Thank you.
Okay, there is also things that we need to know about, from the Talmud or from the Bible. That's why I stopped Hilda right there, because the next passage we will have to see something from the Bible that we have to explain. And that's why it's good that Morty is with us for these classes, because he knows.
Yeah, but we learned so much. It's fabulous. Yeah, dank.
Louisa, I see that you're...
Yeah, and I think that we should also talk about the Yeshiva Shel Mala and Yeshiva Shel Mata.
Okay, we can do it next week when people already left, but so we can do it next week.
Lisa, could you repeat that?
Yeah, the Talmudic, it's always in the Aggadot, that in the Talmudic Agada, that traditionally there was a and here when we actually had the reference to the Yeshiva Shel Mala, which is the yeshiva from above. So there's this image, and I'm not an expert in Talmud, by the way, but I learned Aggadot from the Talmud many years ago, and there was always a standing image or a constant image of the principle of just as above, so below. So just as there were yeshivas below on earth, there was, according to the tradition, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, that there is a yeshiva up above in heaven of all the old rabbis, rabbinical commentators, and they're holding this yeshiva in the sky. Or that's how I imagined it. But it's a Talmudic metaphor or image, and the reference is here when they talk about the Yeshiva Shel Mala. So it's the yeshiva of the sages that are sitting on a yeshiva above.
Okay, thank you. Maybe we can delve into it, you know, next week when more people will be around, because right now some of them already left. Yes, Daniel.
So I actually have some weirdly specific knowledge relating to Luisa's point, discussing the phrase "as above, so below." This sort of relates to the intermingling of different schools of thought going on in Europe and the Arabic world in the medieval era. This is the core line of Hermetic philosophy of these Jewish, Arabic, and Christian, essentially alchemists and philosophers trying to understand the substance of the world of humanity and whatnot. I think the name that phrase tends to get ascribed to by scholars is Hermes the Thrice Blessed, who is a alleged Egyptian alchemist from 3,000 years ago. There's a really good YouTube channel I recommend for anyone interested in the but not only medieval and Renaissance philosophy and occultism, but also the Jewish vision thereof. There's a YouTuber called Esoterica, who's Dr. Justin Sledge, who has some really interesting discussions on Kabbalah and broader mysticism during that period.
Can you send it to me? I will go over it. Yeah, I will go over it and see if it's, you know,
He's got
for the class.
tons and tons of videos. It's not quick.
Yeah, I know. I might find a real good one to share though.
They're very interesting, but it's a whole YouTube full of hundreds of explanations about this stuff.
But Morty will probably know the Talmudic concept.
Morty raised his hand, so Morty, yeah.
Yes, I wanted to comment to address Luisa's comment. You might remember that the introduction to Kol Nidre talks about
Yeshiva
Shel Mala and Yeshiva Shel Mata.
Exactly.
And it refers not necessarily to a school, but to a Yeshiva Shel Mala refers to the tribunal of heavens, and the court, and the Yeshiva Shel Mata to the human courts, the Chachamim, or the Badei Din, really. So it's with the permission of heaven and with the permission of the earthly courts.
Yes,
specifically.
thank you.
You're
That's
welcome.
exactly right. That's exactly what I meant.
Yeah.
Okay. Any
All right.
more comments? I see it was very lively. I could barely stop some of you from.
Wonderful.
Okay.
So much.
That's okay. It means that you.
This is our only haven from politics.
Exactly.
It's much better to fight over this.
Exactly. That's what I mean. That's not pure Yiddish. No Yiddish. So, okay.
We are
I must say that I'm very happy to be finished with so many Yom Tovim.
Yeah,
really.
Have a nice day.
Exhausting.
Have a nice week, and we will see you again next week, and we will continue the story next week.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mina.
Bye, bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Thank you.